Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking about surface area. So surface area is what would cover an entire 3D object. So what surfaces truly make up the 3D object. Think about the net of a shape, or if you were to unroll the shape, what 2D shapes would create your 3D shapes. And what surface area is the sum of all the areas of those shapes. So let me give you an example. So for a circular object like a cylinder, your cylinder is made up of two circles, and I'm just showing you this to show you where the formula comes from. Plus, if we were to cut a soup can label and unroll it, it would technically be a rectangle. Now this rectangle is special because when you unroll the soup can label, the base of that rectangle goes around the circle, and that's called your circumference. So the base of this is actually the circumference of the circle, and then the height's normal. So two circles would be 2 pi times the radius squared plus diameter pi times the height, or in some formulas you may see 2 pi r h. So now I'm going to substitute in our radius, 7, and our diameter we know is 2 of our radius, which is 14, and that's where that 2 pi r, you'll end up getting the same formula. The height of the whole shape's 11. 7 squared, 49 times 2, 98 pi, plus 14 times 11, 154 pi. So 154 plus 98. We can actually add them together, like combining like terms, because they both have pi with them. That only works if they both have pi. We're going to use 3.14 to approximate. So 791.28 meters squared. Why is it squared? Well, it's surface area. Area is 2D. We're actually cutting off, like I said, the labels of your can, if you will, and it's 2D. Or if we were to cover it in paint, that would be the area of the can. When you're filling something, however, that's volume. The next shape, we have a triangular prism. This formula actually is pretty cool. It's going to be obviously two triangles, this one and this one. Otherwise, we have 3 different rectangles if you have a triangle where the sides aren't all the same. And what you do here is the surface area is the 2 triangles. I'm just showing you where these come from. Plus those 3 rectangles. We treat them though as one, almost like a Bounty towel that's being unwrapped, like a Selecta size. Now our formula is 2, and then you have half base height, or base times height divided by 2. Plus, when we were to unroll this, it's actually the perimeter of the triangle times the height. This height stays the same, but your base, if you will, is the perimeter of the triangle. The first base and height that we talk about is the one of the triangle, so it is 3 by 4. The perimeter of the triangle is 3 plus 4 plus 5, which is 12, and the height is 11. Even though it's laying on its side, the height is still 11. Those two simplify. So we have 12 plus 12 times 11, which is 132, plus the 12, 144 centimeters squared, because it's surface area. We could do this the long way. You'd still do the 2 triangles, but then you would have to add individually this rectangle, which is 3 by 11, the bottom 4 by 11, and this top part 5 by 11. Or we could just simplify it and say, hey, it's the perimeter of the triangle times the height. Surface area of a square pyramid. If we were to find the net of this, so the surface area, it's going to be 4 triangles plus the square bottom. And so your formula is 4, and then you can do base height divided by 2, or half the base height plus the base height. Now remember, this base height is of the square, the first base height is of the triangle. The base and height of your triangle are 25 by 32. And then the base height of the square, hence the name square, should be the same, 25 times 25. So now we do a little arithmetic. 25 times 32. It's 800 divided by 2, and then times 4. 1,600 plus 25 times 25, 625, and then together 2,225 feet squared. The next shape we're going to talk about is a cone. The cone has the most unique formula, and the one you kind of have to take my word for it. The surface area, you understand that the bottom is a circle, but plus, it's a shape that kind of looks, I don't know, kind of like that, like if you unrolled a cone. So it's pi r squared plus pi times the radius times the swirly L, which is the slant height. So that's the height that lays up against the cone. The radius is 6, so we substitute that in. We substitute in 6 again because you need the radius on the second part, and the slant height is 10. Now the dotted line here would be the actual height of your cone. That would be used to find your volume. 6 squared is 36. 60. 6 times 10 is 60. And this is another one that's cool. It ends up with both having pi in them. 36 and 60 is 96 pi. And then we have to do a little multiplication to get an approximated answer. 30144 inches squared, because it's surface area. And now I believe on our homework we asked you to round to the nearest tenth, which is the first decimal place, so that would be 301.4. An application problem says Jessie's helping her cousin move. She needs to wrap several cubes with bubble wrap in order to make sure they're safe for transport. Each cube is 3 feet high. She uses a total of 216 square feet of bubble wrap. How many cubes does she need to wrap? So first of all, a cube is the same on all sides. I'm going to draw a little picture. You do not need to. My picture's not even great. It's 3 by 3 by 3. So my surface area is 6 of those. There are 6 3 by 3s, right? Because they're all the same. So it's 6 rectangles, 6 base times height, or 6 3 by 3s. So we have 6 times 3 times 3, 54. And I need to know how many 54 square feet fit inside 216. So I divide 216 by 54, and that would be 4 cubes she would need to wrap. The last one we're going to work on says how much foil in square centimeters would be needed to cover the entire object below if everything except for the, this should say red circle, was covered. So these are pretty cool. It's the surface area of the whole object. Take away the circle, because the circle we don't want. Now the whole object is a rectangular prism. So that's 2 length times width plus 2 width times height plus 2 length times height. And students were asking me today, does it matter what order we go in? The answer is truly no, as long as you pair each of the numbers together exactly once. And then we know the area of a circle is pi r squared. So we're going to do 216 times 7 plus 2, 7 times 8 plus 2. What haven't we paired? We did 16 and 7, 7 and 8. So now we have to do 16 and 8. Our radius of our circle, that's interesting. Well, if this line is 8, that means our diameter is 8, which means our radius would be 4. Half of that. Now we have to get to work. 2 times 16 times 7, 224, plus 2 times 7 times 8, 112, plus 2 times 16 times 8, 256, plus 4 squared is 16 pi. add them together. 224 plus 112 plus 256. 592 plus, now 16 pi we'll have to do out because the 592 doesn't have a pi with it. 50.24, and together the 592 and the 50.24 is 642.24 feet squared. Remember, it's area because we're covering a 3D object with 2D paper.